Welcome to Off the Monster. My name is Derek. I'm here with Mr. Brown and Mr. Taylor. This Yankee series for the Red Sox has not been great. You'll be hearing this. You will know the results of the Sunday night game. We don't, and we don't want to record at midnight on the East Coast. And 11 o'clock for Mr. Taylor and Mr. Brown and Jeremy, who will hopefully be joining us later. So we're recording this now in the middle of the game. We don't know what'll happen, but all we know is the Red Sox haven't won in this series yet. Go to Mr. Brown first. Just thoughts on the series. We've had some good moments in the series, but bad moments as well. Thoughts on the series so far.
The Red Sox are good innings 1 through 5. After that, they fall off a cliff, and that's been the sense of this team the entire 2022 season. They just can't put up any runs later on in the game. It just seems to me, I don't know why that is, but whether it's a home run or a couple hits, excuse me, that's exactly what happens. It's one big sneeze of their offense, and there's nothing else. So, I've watched the last 3 games, or has it only been, it's been 3. They put up runs. It was 5-4, 5-4, 7-5. And like you said, I don't think their bullpen is the late 1990s New York Yankees bullpen by any means. They're not lights out. I mean, I read an article today that they're thinking about putting Chapman out for assignment. That just tells you that they have issues going in. They don't have, we talk about we don't have a closer. Who has been their closer this entire series?
Clay Holmes.
True, but was that going into, was that it's gone back and forth is what I'm saying. Yeah. Is they don't have Chapman like they used to. They don't have the Sandman like they used to. So they have holes in their team. Unfortunately, they're going up against a battered Red Sox team. And we're seeing the price of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, the Yankees have better bullpen options than we do. I was watching last night's game, and I've said it before, elsewhere, but when the Yankees brought in Loaiza to the game, I'm like, oh Lord, because he is nasty. I thought he was only going to be in for 1 inning. They kept him in for 2 innings, and he got the win. But then they also have Clay Holmes, who's nasty. Obviously, both these guys they sometimes have their moments. Clay Holmes was dominant the first half of the season. Had his moments, but it looks like he's back on the right track. So the Yankees do have options back in the bullpen. Right now, the Red Sox back in the bullpen is Matt Barnes. And as much as I like Matt Barnes, do I want Matt Barnes pitching in the 9th inning? No. I know a lot of people giving Matt Barnes hate and whatever. I don't hate Matt Barnes. I like Matt Barnes. Just you gotta know what he is. You can't expect him to be an all-star closer. And I think we can't. Why is Matt Barnes closing in the 9th? Yeah, because we have no other options right now.
There's no pressure on him either to perform, and that's why I think he's performed well.
Yeah, but also you got to know what you should expect out of a guy. Matt Barnes is not going to be an all-star closer, but he could be a solid 7th inning guy or 6th, 7th inning guy, whatever, depending on how the bullpen pans out. Where it's not 8th or 9th inning, and that's totally fine, right? There's no problems with that, but with all the injuries, Houck being injured, Whitlock being injured, Schreiber, they don't like using in the 9th inning. They like using him before in the 7th or 8th inning. Matt Strahm was, I'll say it, Matt Strahm kind of cost us a game, or at least a chance at a game. So it's the options just aren't really there. Josh Taylor's been injured all year. I can go through the bullpen. It's just not there.
Stats, if I may interject for just a minute. You leave Matty Backpacks alone. That poor bastard was a legit 9-inning guy until he met George Springer in Toronto. I don't know if it was, I can't remember this year or last year, because I have had a few drinks since this year and last year. But George Springer hit a 3-run homer off of him, and it changed his psychological well-being. Matty Backpacks is a wicked piece of curve. He's got a decent fastball, 95, as high as 98. I've seen it as high as. So he's got the stuff. He doesn't have the psychological well-being to continue to be our 9 guy. I think he's a good 7 guy. He might be a good 8 guy. We'll see what 2023 has with Mr. Houck coming back with his joie de vivre. I love him. He's like Cool Hand Luke. He just comes in and doesn't seem like he has a care in the world. Garrett Whitlock, I still think is a 7-8 guy,
He's
maybe
going
9
to the
guy.
rotation.
No, dude. I hope
I know. I don't want him to go to the rotation, but they're gonna put him in the rotation.
I hope you're so wrong. I hope
I'm wrong too. I hope I'm wrong too.
I hope you're so wrong that your hat falls off your head. But I think if you've got Whitlock, Houck, Matty Backpacks, you've got Josh Taylor coming back hopefully next year, and you've got Ort, who's got unbelievable stuff with no control. He can't really find it just yet, but maybe if he starts off the year in AAA and comes back in, I think we've got the bullpen pieces. If Hine goes out and gets us a true 9 guy, if he gets a true 9 guy, we've got a legit bullpen, and we've got a decent starting 5 going in. If you take into consideration Sale, as long as he stops Uber eating on his bike and trips and falls every time we turn our back, you've got Paxton potentially coming back on his option. You've got Pavetta, who's got wicked pisses stuff when he's on. And then you potentially have Vivaldi coming back. Number 5 escapes me right now.
Bayo.
Holy shit, dude. We've seen him in his last, 4 starts look unbelievably characteristic.
He's got
like
a sub-2 ERA in September.
I mean, what are we talking here? 2023 looks amazing. It really does.
Yeah, and it all comes down to the health of the team, right? Obviously, Off the Monster, unofficial sponsor. We are unofficially sponsored by Uber Eats because Chris Sale. But yeah, but thanks, Chris Sale. We'll take that opportunity. We take it. We're very happy about it. You're not getting any cut because we're not getting anything from it.
Unofficial sponsor, by the way. Unofficial sponsor. We're gonna work on a real sponsor soon.
I think we need a real sponsor, and that sponsor should be Jameson. And you'll see why here in a second. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. A little teaser for later on the show. I want to see us bringing Jameson Taillon. Just because his name is Jameson, he'll fit in perfect in Boston.
Oh my gosh.
And he's not a bad pitcher, as it turns out either.
Can I say, to be fair, I do really like Jameson Taillon. But I don't want to get into that. But there hasn't been any Yankees go to the Red Sox that have been like at least half decent. It's always Red Sox going to the Yankees. Could turn it around, maybe. We'll get to all that later, though.
Evaldi?
He didn't go. Well. But it's different though. Evaldi didn't really do much with the Yankees. First of all, second of all, he didn't go from the Yankees to the Red Sox. Went from the Yankees to the Rays. You get what I'm saying?
I get you. But
you get what I'm saying?
I watched Game 1 and Game 2 live of the World Series. When he pitched, what was it, 8 or 9 innings? I think it was Game 3 or Game 4.
I think it was 6 and a third out of the bullpen.
Okay, 6 in there. I remember watching it on the airplane flying back from Boston. That's legend status, dude. So that I'm technically counting that as a Yankee coming to the Red Sox, okay? Because we don't have a Boggs, we don't have a Damon, we don't have that, man. We don't have a big free agent sign. Now next year when
Judge to the Yankees really hasn't worked out either. Like he just
Ellsbury,
Ellsbury.
Damon was like, he wasn't like bad with the Yankees, but I think more part of it was, Damon wasn't great for the Yankees, but they took him away from the Red Sox. I think that was more like.
I'll give you.
It's like when they got Giambi. Was Giambi ever great with the Yankees?
I'll give you Clemens, but that was his steroid era.
Yeah, but it's like the Yankees, what they did to Oakland. It's like, Jason Giambi wins MVP with Oakland. Oakland's our biggest competitor. We're taking him away. Was he ever great with the Yankees? No. Does it matter? No. Why? Because he's not in Oakland anymore. I think that's kind of was like the main thing. Is like, okay, well, even if he's not great for us, the other team doesn't have him, and I think that's kind of, the whole like Damon thing. Even Ellsbury, I think to an extent was kind of the, okay, well, maybe he's not great for us, but we took him away from the Red Sox. We weakened the Red Sox.
Stats, what did you do to your light? Because you look like an ISIS hostage.
Nah, I have a lamp in front of me.
Are you okay? As long as you're okay. Hey, this is a call for help. You let me and Mr. Brown know. We'll come get you.
I would love to be out of Florida right now.
Is that what they're writing on the
There's a
flashcards?
hurricane. There's a hurricane coming. I would love to be out of Florida.
I'm bringing you to Texas, Stats. Mark my words on this podcast. I'm bringing you to Texas.
I would love that. I don't want to be in the. There's one model that shows the hurricane going like right over, like right near where I live, and I'm like, please don't let that happen. Don't let it happen. No, this Red Sox series for me has just been like we're seeing glimpses of what we can see in 2023. You know, Casas and Reese McGuire hitting homers, and you know we're seeing Bale pitch tonight, and we well, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We've seen obviously Verdugo's going to be on the team next year. Devers is struggling right now, but it's you know we've seen Yu Chang play some games. Will he be on the team next year? That's will that happen? That's to be seen, but you never know. Obviously, like I said, Cass is hitting the home runs, but also playing good defense at first base. After having over like 2 years. Actually, yeah, like 2 years of Dahlbeck and Franchi Cordero plus, Schwarber at first base. Like, Casas looks like the best defensive first baseman of all time compared to those guys.
So if I may interject, because I saw a stat earlier that reminded me of Stats Masterson, thought something maybe you would bring in. So I don't know I think it was Jared Carabas that tweeted out earlier, Kyle Schwarber and Mr. Hunter Renfroe, who, according to my mother, who's 73, has the sweetest ass in baseball, between the two have hit 70 home runs. Devers, Bogarts, and Mr. Martinez have hit 69. So
that's because Martinez couldn't hit a beach ball, though, if it was thrown to him.
I'm hoping Mr. Martinez has a great year next year for Philadelphia.
For the Reds.
Or whoever.
It's going to be the Reds.
Oh, God. He can't be the Reds, dude. You can't do that to JD.
Because it's a great hitter's ballpark. He'll hit
Colorado.
like 20 homers there.
Why not Colorado?
Why not the Red Sox?
That's a terrible no. Colorado is a horrible home run park. Like, people don't understand that. Colorado's a horrific home run park.
Since they started putting the balls in the humidor.
It's a doubles, triples ballpark because it's so big in the gaps. There's so much ground to cover in the outfield because like the right center and left center gaps, they're so far out. It creates so much room for doubles and triples. And
so Stats, you don't
home runs.
So I think I just heard Stats say he's going to the Yankees.
It's not going there.
I'm done with this podcast. I can't hang out with you guys anymore. I can't handle that. I'm too emotionally soft at this point in my old life.
We're gonna have to bring a priest in with some holy water to get us back on track.
It'll be hilarious if Christian Vasquez goes and signs for like the Rays.
I want my Vasquez back, dude.
He's not coming back.
But to your point, Stats. To your point. Reese Quick-Hands McGuire has been a stud since he's come over. An absolute stud. I mean, he's hitting close to 400, 3 or 4 home runs. He hit a 3-run Johnson yesterday. Aren't
all his homers against the Yankees?
It feels
that way, yeah.
It seems like he's got a good left-handed swing. He's a damn good defensive catcher, which really pissed me off because I really was unbelievably upset we traded Vasquez. If we would have traded Vasquez to any other team besides
Houston. Well, besides Houston
Astros,
and the Yankees.
And I speaking from someone who is from Texas, the Astros can go F off. I hate that franchise. And I'm so sad that my Vasquez's there. But I'm glad he's going to the postseason. I hope he does good things for the Astros over the Yankees. But 2023 is going to be interesting at the catching spot. You've got Wong, you've got Mr.
It's going to be Wong and McGuire. It's going to be.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. I've said that if they bring in a free agent catcher, it'll be Mike Zunino because he fits the Heim profile for catchers and like of being a good defensive catcher and being able to throw guys out but especially more so framing pitches. Reese McGuire was like the 5th best in the MLB last year. In 2021, Mike Zunino was like up there as well. Like I think he was like number 2, I think, in the MLB last year. So it kind of fits that. But I think Connor Wong's emergence is kind of shut down any possibility of a Vasquez reunion or Mike Zunino or any other catcher coming in. I think they're going to roll with Reese and Wong.
Yeah, get back on the Yankee series for a second. What do you think of Connor Siebel? He's not young anymore. He's 26.
He could be a late bloomer, though. I think that's the thing. You can never really count those guys out because
is he a middle reliever? Is he something else?
Could
is
be
he a starting pitcher?
Swingman, maybe. I don't like him more than once through the rotation, through the lineup, though. But I feel he could be like a bulk reliever, though. Come 2-3 innings out of the bullpen, can make a spot start if needed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's fine.
I think every team looked bad the other day.
No, he didn't look bad. I mean, it is the Reds, but he didn't look bad.
I disagree with both of you guys. Connor Siebel does not belong at the MLB level. I think he's tapped out at AAA. I think he was a good spot starter because everybody else seemed to just get injured or get COVID or went to Uber Eats delivery and tripped and fell or whatever the circumstance was.
He doesn't start next year in the big leagues. He doesn't start next year in the big leagues.
Connor's not part of our plans for 2023. Connor's that's
where I was going with this. Is he a long inning guy? Because we don't have a long inning guy in the bullpen.
Okay, here's the thing. He's not starting the season in the big leagues. However, a couple injuries happen. He can be a guy you can call up, put in the bullpen, use 2 or 3 innings of the bullpen, or make the occasional spot start if you're running low on starters, or you just need to give guys a break and give everyone an extra day rest or whatever. Stuff like that. Like, I think that's what Connor Siebel's for. I think Cutter Crawford's going to start the year next year as that guy out of the bullpen. But
Connor Siebel does not start in the major league level for the 2023 Red Sox.
No, he doesn't. But he's still in the plans because he's part of that depth that Chaim Bloom's building, right? And you look at the depth. You have Siebel. You have Brendan Walter in AAA. Brian Matta, who looked amazing the other day until Darwin's and Hernandez hurt his ERA because Matta left the game in the 6th with 2 guys on, and Darwin's and Hernandez goes and gives up a 3-run ball. Whatever. That's Darwin's in for you. But you like Matta, Walter. You have Chris Murphy. Siebel's part of that. That's 4 guys. There's probably a couple other guys I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But they're building depth, right? And Connor Siebel is part of that depth. Whether he's going to be a legit big league piece, that's to be seen. But you can never have too much depth, right? And he's part of that depth.
I mean, I agree with your assessment. I just think that Siebel is limited in what he can do. He's a good call up in a pinch. I think Cutter Crawford's the same caliber. I don't think Cutter Crawford's an MLB guy. I think he's a AAA guy.
I think he'd be the bulk guy out of the bullpen.
He could be.
I think he gets hurt more. I think he gets hurt more the second time through the lineup.
I'm hoping that Bloom does a little something with the bullpen and starting 5 going into 2023. Don't know yet for sure, because one thing I can tell you about Mr. Bloom by reading his article interviews and watching him in his interviews online, there's no friggin' telling what this guy's thinking. He gives up nothing, and it absolutely pisses me off to no extent, because I spend a lot of money on the Red Sox every year. I want to know what's going on. And right now, I'm guessing, just like we are right now, and it's infuriating because I know what we have coming up in AAA. I know what he's done with the minor leagues coming up. I'm excited about our farm system more so than Diamond Dave or Mr. Dombrowski. But at least Dombrowski gave me a World Series in 2018. I don't like finishing in last place at all, especially when I spent what I spent to take my entire family to see the Red Sox this year. I mean, I mortgaged the house to see them.
I will say, though, the one thing Chaim has been consistent on, and some people are saying, oh, he's just now he's changed. No, he has. This is the one thing that I don't even think he's strayed from his plan at all, but this is the one thing that he said in public that he hasn't strayed on at all. It's also the only thing he said in public. But he said before 2021, he said that you can't really go out and get, a big free agent until you have the depth and the younger guys and whatever. He didn't explicitly say that. I'm just kind of condensing the quote. It's essentially saying you can't, just spend a bunch of money and not have the supporting pieces, essentially. And a lot of the big supporting pieces, some of the supporting pieces, when you have big contract guys, have to be younger guys who haven't hit arbitration yet or are just hitting arbitration. Because you can't pay everyone on your team $20 to $30 million. You just can't. And
so there's a pro and con to that conversation right there. You could look and say, okay, he's exactly right. The Philadelphia Phillies spent a ton of cash, and are they where they need to be? Do they look like a World Series contender at this point?
Make the wild card, but they have massive flaws. They have massive flaws.
Exactly. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have the LA Dodgers, who spent
But they have the depth. They have the depth.
And they also have a huge TV contract, so they can afford to do so, similar to the Yankees. That's why they can afford this.
Yeah.
But for overall, the average team, and we'll get to that later, you're right. It can't be done. And you do have to go back to the basics and build your team. And we used to have that. I mean, I was proud of the Red Sox in the early 2000s.
Is it Theo Epstein? It goes back to Theo Epstein.
Right. They built a farm system, and you looked around the bases. I mean, back then it was Nomar, Pedroia,
Euclid, Ellsbury,
Trot Nix. I don't know if Trot Nixon. I can't
remember. They had that core of guys that were, maybe guys from the outside, or maybe guys that were there, but they needed to be paid. But they also had the younger core. It goes back to like the Dodgers right now. Yes, they can pay these guys big money. It's really only been Mookie and whatever. But it's they're in that spot where it's like they're in that weird transition point where now they're starting to spend money, and they have the prospects though to be able to do that.
They're starting to trickle in. I mean, you got Bayo, you got Cassis.
Yeah, exactly.
These kids are starting to come up. You could see the potential that's there over the next few years, and we'll get to that too. But you need to trim down the age. We had gone from being a very young team to being a very geriatric. The CVS receipt is about as long as my arm to make sure these guys got enough pain meds to get through the day. But we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, the Yankees series wasn't what we thought it would.
Did you just reference a CVS receipt?
I did.
That's the longest receipt in the history of receipts, dude.
Yeah, Christmas is coming.
Yep. All right. Well,
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So we're gonna move on here, to something that we're excited to get onto. We will bring Jeremy in. We'll bring Jeremy in here. He's here now. We're going to cover this while Jeremy's here. We wanted to save this for him as he jumps in. We're going to talk about what was our favorite historical moment that we've witnessed in baseball. It can be Red Sox related. It can be MLB related. It could be, maybe it's not big history, but it's important to you. Maybe it was just, I don't know, someone set a franchise record for something, and it might be a franchise record for stolen bases in a game or whatever.
Jeremy's here?
Thing.
In spirit.
I am. There's
whoa.
The overweight underdog is here, my man.
I am here. Unfortunately, no video tonight because where I'm at, it's way too dark to get a picture of me. So unfortunately, you'll have to go without my beautiful face.
I can edit your face.
You're the only one prettier than me, even though my forehead is much larger than it used to be. But anyway, glad you're here, brother.
All right, so let's get into this. I won't let Jeremy go through first. I'm not going to throw him straight into the woods. We're not going to do that. So I'll go to Mr. Brown first. What's your favorite historical moment? We got inspiration from this from Albert Pujols hitting a 700 homer this past week. So what's your favorite historical moment in the MLB?
The easy go-to for me would be 2004. As a Red Sox fan, that has to be one of my favorite moments. But as a kid growing up, I would say the 20 strikeouts with Roger Clemens the first time, when there was it almost Fenway Park looked like it does now. Nobody in the stands. And anybody who says they were there that night is lying, because there was probably about 5,000 people. It was I think it was rainy a little bit, but it was the Red Sox weren't the Red Sox yet, and they just weren't filling seats. And he did something that had not been done in decades. And it for most people, it just came out of nowhere that, wow, this is actually a record. This guy can do this tonight. And I just remember just sitting there watching my 13-inch not black and white, I'm not that old, Sony TV, and I was in awe, 14-year-old kid in awe watching at that time, who was a fantastic pitcher for the Red Sox, do something that hadn't been done.
All right, I'll take my shot at this next. I'll bring a little bit of a youth jump into this. And this one might be a little wacky. We're going to get into this. I explained it before the show, but there's a history of teams, whenever there's tragedy surrounding them, especially like in a city, they always find a way to pull through to get the job done. And that's what the 2013 Red Sox did. And I'll use the example, 2001 Yankees, 9/11. They made it to the World Series. In hockey, the Vegas Golden Knights, their first season, there was the shooting in Vegas. They make it all the way to the Cup Finals. And we've seen some others. I'm not going to go through all of them. But that 2013 team, and then also the big part of it, though, that I really want to cover is David Ortiz in that postseason, especially in the World Series. I don't know if it necessarily set any records, but it felt like every single time he went up to the plate, he was getting on base. Whether it was a hit, a walk, whatever, it felt like every single time he was at the plate, he was getting on base. The rest of the team, that whole series, with the exception of like 4 or 5 at-bats, did nothing. And David Ortiz said, "Get on my shoulder. We're winning a World Series. I don't care." And it's still one of the best performances that I think anyone's ever seen. I also do want to give an honorable mention, though. Just one I thought of Manny Ramirez hitting the longest home run in Fenway Park history at 501 feet. Because there's no way that they can say that's 501 feet, because that's such a coincidence. I will argue that ball was 510 feet, if not more.
So those are your mid-roll experiences of baseball. So if I may go next, I've got a couple that I think a few of us that will appreciate. For me, it's not number one. It's in my top 5. One of the first that I can remember is Nolan Ryan striking out Ricky Henderson for his 5,000 strikeout. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I saw Mark McGwire hit his 62nd home run, his 70th home run. I saw Barry Bonds hit his 73rd. I have seen Ricky Henderson steal his league-leading overall base when he picked it up and raised it over his head when he was with Oakland. There are so many memories that I have over the last 40 years. It's really hard to pick 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. There are so many. It's just unbelievable that I have lived long enough to see this great game go from not necessarily mediocrity because of the strike in 94? I think is when the strike was. And then get to see the Braves win in 95, watch them on TBS here in San Antonio, Texas. There's so many great moments that I can't pinpoint one that's the best. I wish I would have got to see Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, all these prodigious players in their heyday. That we see some spot media of them, but we are so blessed to get to see what we see. We just saw Albert Pujols hit his 70th. Judge, I hope, hits his 61st and 62nd after he plays the Red Sox. And not against my beloved Red Sox.
Or if he hits him against the Red Sox, let it be against Ryan Brazier.
Yeah, because I was told by somebody offline before we started they didn't want to get Brian Bello in that mix. But how cool would it be?
I would like them not the Red Sox of all things to not this year give up that number 61. Let another
I
team
don't
give
want
it
to.
up.
I don't. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. But I don't want it to happen against my beloved Red Sox. We have been beat up enough this year to. I mean, it's like pistol whipping a blind kid. It's cool for about 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden you're beating a blind kid with a pistol. It's just not cool, man. I don't want that for my Red Sox from 2022. We have enough problems, man. Enough problems.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we're all hoping it doesn't happen against the Red Sox. I don't know who the Yankees are playing next, but whoever it is, good freaking luck. And I also said
Okay.
it would be hilarious if the Red Sox just intentionally walk Judge every at bat of this 4-game series. Because it would just get Yankees fans pissed off, and that's hilarious to me. But I'll go to Jeremy. Do you have any moment to you that sticks out for whatever reason?
Oh, without a doubt. But before I dive into that, I would like to add that Matt Barnes could also give up that homer. I'd be okay with that. Either Brazier or Barnes. Either way. Anyways, so Jeff had brought up the 04 Red Sox, which of course was magical for anybody who was a fan before that. But to me, the one that stands out is the 99 All-Star game in Boston. And I still get choked up when I see Ted Williams on the field, because the most significant impact of that is when Ted Williams got on the field. People nowadays don't remember this, but the reputation that Ted Williams had with the press and with the fans and stuff was always, just full attention, right? And Ted Williams said he would never tip his cap to the fans again. And he was brought out on the field, and sure enough, he tipped his cap. And all the players were there. You're talking Griffey and Jeter and McGuire and all these great players were there on the field. And he still, he looked at the fans, he tipped his cap. That's still, I still get choked up when I see that because of the impact on that. Ted Williams is the franchise. He's a cornerstone of the franchise, right? And he's, the number one great. And for him to have that moment long after he's been retired and all the tension he had with the press and that, he gets out on the field at an all-star game with all these future Hall of Famers and is able to do that. And the applause that everybody had is just, it was awesome. So, and I'm going on too long here, but that moment to me is just, it's not as good as 04, but it's right up there.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I do want to bring up though about All-Star Game at Fenway. I do know that the Red Sox are potentially bidding to get another All-Star Game at Fenway at some point, late 2020s. That's the things I've heard. That came out kind of a little bit this summer.
You out for that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Be a perfect time to have David Ortiz throw out the first pitch, maybe, or Pedroia Ortiz bring out like the have it be in 2027 and be the 20th anniversary of the 07 team.
Papelbon, get him to do it.
Papelbon?
Yes.
Yeah,
he can do his jig afterwards.
And
Jonathan Papelbon made an appearance for the Savannah Bananas.
That was awesome, by the way. That was awesome. That was truly awesome. By the way,
he pitched in a kill.
He did pitch in a kill. And being Scotch Irish, I was very appreciative of that.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I do though. I think that there's this one thing though with historic moments is that regardless of, especially when it comes to records, like regardless of if the record's broken or whatever, or people surpass it, like there'll always be the original record. There'll always be that person who broke the record first, or made the record, or even like just broke the record. Like for example, Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's home run record. Just because Bonds went on to break Hank Aaron's record doesn't mean Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record is any less special, right? And I think that's a great thing with baseball is where we're not like letting the records go away. But the one thing I will say though that does bother me is sometimes in the moment we don't realize how special some things are, and I think that's something like, for my perfect example for that is Shohei Ohtani, because what he's doing is ridiculous. and shouldn't be taken for granted. I'm not saying he has to win the MVP or anything. I'm just saying that, it should be, he probably should get his own award called the Shohei Ohtani Award, just because it's not fair to anyone else unless they have the ridiculous season that Aaron Judge is having. So I think it's like the things that are going on, we should, recognize how special they are. Paul Goldschmidt's having a ridiculous year. If it wasn't for Kyle Schwarber, I think he'd win the Triple Crown this year, or at least be, he's even close to it right now. Like, if he were to win the Triple Crown, it's like people all this year haven't really been realizing, like, hey, this guy could win the Triple Crown. And it's one of those things where some things that we overlook when it's happening, but after we look back at it and we're like, yeah, that was special. But I think as a baseball community, we should try and recognize what's happening in the moment, because it's more special that way. Because when you look back at stuff and you realize that you missed it, it's like, oh, I wish I would have noticed that. I think.
I think you were talking to John Heyman again about Shohei Ohtani, which I fully support that. John Heyman has to realize that there are other baseball players than Aaron Judge and the freaking Yankees. So once again, John Heyman, pay attention, man.
I will say this.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a chance to witness history, appreciate it for what it is. I took for granted growing up watching pitchers like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and watching Andre Dawson, Mark Grace, all these wonderful players that play for the Cubs, Braves, on WGN out of Chicago, TBS out of Atlanta, because down here in Texas, we've got two teams, the Astros, which I hate, and I hope they get flooded out by another hurricane. The Rangers, who I hope they are relocated to Anchorage, Alaska. But what I will say is this: when you have a chance to witness baseball history, something that's going to go in the annals of this beloved sport, praise it for what it is, because it's truly special. I didn't get to see Pujols hit 699 or 700, but I got to watch it on Twitter shortly after it happened. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm going to potentially see Aaron Judge hit 62 tonight, or 61 rather, 62 in the coming days. That's special, because we're not going to see that again in our lifetimes. Aaron Judge will not hit 60 plus home runs again. They just won't. They'll pitch him differently, or they'll walk him. They'll do like they did with Barry Bonds. He's going to get the Barry Bonds treatment.
I think that's a conversation we need to have again in the spring, because I do think that he has the potential to hit 700 in his career. Absolutely.
He's too old. No, he's too old. He's too old at this point.
You talking about Judge for 700?
Judge is too old at this point. He's already 30.
He's got to ramp it up for 7. Is it possible statistically? I mean, you can crunch the numbers all day long. I just don't think we'll see things like we did in the past. I don't think we'll see.
You have to. The problem with 700 is you have to break into the league at 20 or 21. I
don't think we'll see things again like a 25 game winner for a pitcher. I don't think we'll see. I think K-Rod has the single season record for saves.
Yeah, I think it's like 50 something. I know. I think Kyle Wright has 20 wins for the Braves this year.
So that's what makes me sad as an old timer, I guess I call myself now in baseball, is that I used to love.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, I used to love looking out for those guys who would get those 20 wins during the season, and you'd only have a handful, maybe 5, 6, 7 guys who would do it every year. Clemens would do it, Hurst would do it. I'm looking at the Red Sox, mind you, back in the early 90s, late 80s. But it was something that happened. Now, if it happens, it's holy crap. They just did it. I mean, the Seattle Mariners. I think Seattle Mariners just had, I think, back-to-back guys who pitched complete games, which is unheard of in this day and age.
Sandy Alcantara.
I love stuff like that.
I think Sandy Alcantara has 5.
Yeah, look at him. Alcantara's throwing 9 complete games, something like that.
I think it's 5 or 6, and he has more complete games than I think more than I think he has more complete games than over half the teams in the league.
Right.
But he's got 5. He's got 5 complete games for the year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guys like Bayo, who I love, who I think has the worst luck. Who's the New York Met? Who DeGrom. He does not get run support at all from the
No,
Red Sox.
I do want to, and that's what I want to add though too, is that sometimes, like, I think back then, like, the best pitchers were on the best teams because the best teams could pay them the most money. Now you have a guy like Jacob DeGrom who hasn't gotten run support in however many years, like, or you have like a very good pitch like Alcantara on the Marlins this year. Like, he's not going to win 25 games on the Marlins.
But where I was going with that is that you're never going to see. I don't think you're not going to see Bayo going 8-9 innings. I don't think he's got the body type to do it. I think he eventually will get 7-8 innings. I think he's got the potential, and we've seen his pitches. I mean, his changeup is one of the nastiest in all of baseball right now, and he's only been in the league less than a couple months. So the potential is absolutely there. But what you need a big body like a Clemens. You need somebody who is that Texas looking guy, who can handle. Yeah, you don't see guys going over 100 pitches and you got to pull him out like his arm's going to fall off. Drives me nuts.
Hey, man,
I don't think it's that they can't go over 100 pitches. I think it's more like the team doesn't want them to go over 100 pitches. I think that's more what it is. I think that guys could throw 150 pitches if they were asked to. I just think teams, one, don't want to do that. Two, they know that the further you go into the game, the more looks you get against guys, the better chance that the guy is going to get hit well against them, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into it.
It's a business model thing. It's 100% a business model thing. These guys are well capable of throwing well over 150 to 200 pitches per game if they were really truly challenged. If you've ever gone to
count all the pitches they do before the game, and
that's what I'm saying.
Toss and warm up and all that stuff, and warming up for each inning, they throw like 200 pitches a day when they pitch that day. Over.
I mean, yeah. If you go to a professional baseball game and you get there early and you watch them do long toss, you watch them do their bullpen, you watch them do their in between innings. I think they get 7 pitches per inning.
They get
so 8. If they're going to throw. Is it 8 pitches per inning?
It's 8. Yeah.
So if you take 8 times 5, and if they go 5 innings plus what they're throwing, you got guys that are well capable of throwing 150 to 200 pitches, but the business model won't allow them because Major League Baseball has turned into a systemic business model that really takes away from the game. I mean, I saw a commercial probably 5 years ago that this baseball pitcher was joking about, I've thrown 232 pitchers and they made a call to the bullpen. Who's coming in? Oh yeah, me. There was nobody coming into the bullpen back in the old days. And it's because it's become a multi-billion-dollar business. Fans are missing out on true accolades. And it bothers me because I want my kids to see these guys. I mean, was it is it Mantis or Montas for the Toronto? Montas maybe is his name.
Frankie Montas for the Yankees.
He had 200 strikeouts for the season or 3? It wasn't 300. I don't think it was that high. I think it was 200 plus.
I don't know.
That's a rarity.
I think here's the thing though, that I think too you have so many guys who can pitch at an elite level, especially out of the bullpen. And you look at, I'm going to use the Minnesota Twins as in this example. Let's say you have a starting pitcher and it's a 2-0 game and the guy's at 100 pitches and going into the 9th inning. Let's say no, I'm talking like a no-hitter situation. It's just like a regular game is giving up some hits or whatever. Is that like 100, 102, 105 pitches going into the 9th inning? But the Twins have this guy named Yohan Duran sitting in the bullpen who can pump 103, 104 with a 100-mile-per-hour splitter, might I add, and a nasty 92-mile-per-hour curveball. You think it comes to that thing of where it's like, we want this guy who's already thrown 100 pitches to go out there and face the lineup the 4th time through, or maybe the 5th time, or do we want to bring out this guy who's fresh, who can be unhittable when he's on? And I think that's kind of where it comes to. And it's like teams have now put so much trust in their bullpen, where before it was all about the starting pitcher. The best pitchers were the starters, and we've seen a massive shift. It's like the Cleveland Guardians. If they're going into the 9th inning in a save situation, you want Emmanuel Clase on the mound. I don't care if your pitcher is throwing a one-hitter at 80 pitches. I want Emmanuel Clase on the mound. To me, he's the best closer in baseball besides Edwin Diaz. I want him on the mound. I don't care. And I think that's where it's getting.
Who do we want to see with the Red Sox next year? Who's a pitcher? Who's a hitter you want to see coming in playing for the Red Sox? And I could sit here all day and go, okay, Devers, Bogarts, Devers. But I already gave one of them. One of them is Mr. Jameson. Taillon. I can't get his name right. I think I got it right. It's like
Ty and then Yon.
And the other one, and I know I'm going to get catchy for this one, but I'd love to see him back in a Red Sox uniform. Benny Biceps, because we need some speed back in that outfield. Our outfield is atrocious.
I miss Benny Biceps, by the way.
I don't think you can. Here's my only problem with that. I love Verdugo, but I don't like him in right field at Fenway. And it's not to say that I don't think he can play right field. I think he can play right field, just not at Fenway. I think you need a second center fielder to play right field at Fenway. And I think that's the problem they're going to run into with Verdugo. I don't think he can play in right field every day.
Move Kike to right.
Verdugo in center doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work either. And Benny
I've seen him play center.
You're only making my point to bring in Benny Biceps and put him in center. You're only making my point.
Benintendi doesn't work in center either.
He's a natural center field. That was his position.
But look at the defensive metrics though. Verdugo is like he's not bad in center field. Like he'd be better than Jarren Duran was in like June. But he's not your preferred option. In a pinch, could you put a Verdugo in center field? Yes, in a pinch, but it's nowhere near your preferred option. I'd rather put that's why they'll play Rob Refsnyder in center instead of Verdugo. They could, if they had trust and confidence in Verdugo being able to play center field, they'd put Refsnyder in right and put Verdugo in center.
Hang on, there's no telling what the Red Sox are going to do. They put Almonte in center field, and he looks like Pablo
That's a great point though to why they're not going to put Verdugo in center.
He could do better than Almonte.
You're not giving me any points to why Benny Biceps cannot fit back in that outfield for cheap money. And I'm not talking he's not going to take a long contract. Nobody in their right mind is going to offer him a long contract, especially after getting traded from
also too many
Yankees.
Too many lefties.
And he just didn't do anything.
Too many lefties.
I'll take Hunter Renfroe back. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I actually said that a couple days ago to someone. I'm like, watch them just bring Hunter Renfroe back on like a 2-year deal. Watch it happen.
I would be thrilled with that. I'm sorry, but the season he's had in Milwaukee, that is it as good as last year? No, but it's still a fantastic season that we sorely could have needed. And maybe it wouldn't have helped with wins and losses, but there's one thing for sure. It would have brought a little more offense and a little more excitement this year. And I think that's been the biggest and most frustrating thing with the Red Sox this year.
Nobody would run on them.
Now here's the good thing I will say. Here's the one good thing. The Red Sox next year would be much more positioned to have a guy like Renfroe on the team than they would have this year. Because you had a guy like Dahlbeck who strikes out a gazillion times at first. You had Bradley who's off. Bradley wouldn't have been there if they kept Renfroe, but whatever. You had JD who has not been good this year. He's not going to be on the team next year. I feel like if you have a guy like Renfroe, you really can at the max have one other guy who strikes out a lot. Maybe that guy's Story, even though I think Story looked a heck of a lot better once he came off the injured list. So I'm more hopeful you see something more like that from Trevor Story next year when he's actually driving the ball the other way instead of just being pull happy all the time.
With a guy like Cassis, where do you see him hitting? I mean, he's a guy who works the count we've seen.
Oh my gosh, I love
him. He reminds me a little bit of Euclid. Euclid was a better hitter, obviously. Not so much when he first came up. He wasn't raking when he first came to. And
Cassis has been super unlucky. He's got like a BABIP under 100, but
his plate presence was phenomenal.
Yep.
He was the Greek god of walk, and Cassis. I don't know if you call him the Greek god of walk. But he's the
American god of walks. Or no, it's full count Cassis. I know I hate Tony Maserati, but he came up with one good line this year. Full count Cassis.
I said that the other day before you said that.
No,
That's
I'm just
pretty
saying.
good. And, I mean, honestly, I don't. I think it depends on spring training with Cassis, right? Because if he has that plate discipline, and he's getting these walks and stuff like that, you could see him potentially being at the top. You know, I don't want to say leadoff, but probably
I'd say number 9.
somewhere.
No. Here's my thing though. You can't move Devers out of the 2 spot, and I think it's a comfort thing for Devers at the 2 hole. I don't think you can move Devers out of the 2 hole, which means Cassis can't hit leadoff, can't hit 3rd. Probably not 4th either. I think Cassis could maybe slide into that 5th spot though.
Wait a minute. Cassis has the hitting potential to hit anywhere in the lineup. He's got raw, prodigious power. He's patient at the plate. You got our leadoff. If we were really cutting down to the brass tacks of it, last year was what? Kike?
They need to get a leadoff hitter. They need to get a leadoff hitter.
Well, let's think though. I mean,
Verdugo's your best in-house option at leadoff.
Wouldn't be the first time we've had a slow leadoff hitter.
Yeah. Leadoff hitter has changed because now it's more about the numbers, right? Plate appearances, times they get on base, and that has kind of changed leadoff a little bit. And really, to think about it, if you have Cassis, if he's still doing what he's doing this year, and he's at the top of the lineup, odds are, if you got Devers coming up, if you have Bogarts or whoever after that, that's another run. So that is something to kind of entertain.
Now, here's my throw it out there option. I think Verdugo is the best in-house option at the leadoff spot because he's a little bit more of a contact guy. Not that you have to be a contact guy at the leadoff spot, but being able to, especially with the shift change next year, I think that's actually going to help Verdugo and him being able to get. And we've seen when he's hot and he's on and he can hit 330 over the span of 3 months or whatever. And he can get on base a lot and set the table for. Maybe Story in the 2 hole, and then Devers in the 3 spot. Bogart's 4th, Cassis 5th. Because
what about Duran? You think Duran comes up next year?
I don't think he starts the year on the big league roster.
He's batting .290. I saw him hit his 9th home run today. He's got 40 RBIs at Worcester. He's not bad. He's maturing. He's maturing.
I don't know. I don't know about Duran. Also where are you going to put him defensively? Because they love Kike in center, and it's like, okay, where
he's got speed. He could potentially play right.
No, he's not gonna. No, you can't.
Anything,
he's not
field.
Good enough defensively. Defensively, you cannot put him in right field. You have to put him in center, or you have to put him in left. And he's probably better off in left.
We put Almonte in center field.
And I would play Almonte in center field right now.
I'm pretty sure didn't we have Dahlbuck in the elf?
No,
Dahlbuck was there.
To be fair,
you leave Bobby D alone, damn it.
Hold on. To be fair, though, before the season started, there were rumors of them trying Dahlbeck in the outfield, in left field. There were rumors of it. They did end up just having a Royal play right, but that didn't work out. But next year, let's just hypothetically say they keep Bogarts, and if they have those 3 lefties, Verdugo, Devers, Cassis, they all have to be in the top 6, right? So here's the 3 best options 3 best options. You either go Devers, Verdugo, Cassis in the 2, 4, 6 spots, or Devers, Cassis, Verdugo in the 2, 4, 6 spots, or you have to throw Verdugo or you could also put Verdugo in 2, Devers 4, Cassis 6. But I don't think Devers likes the 4 spot. The only other option is Verdugo hits leadoff, Devers in the 3 spot, Cassis in the 5 spot. That's the only other option. Or
I like Duran in the 9 spot hitting left field.
I don't think he's on the roster.
Hold on here though. Wait, when I brought up Cassis batting 2, your retort back to that was you got to keep Devers 2 spot. But now you're talking about changing things up. This is where I go with it.
No,
I could see Cassis doing
that. You can't hit Verdugo leadoff. Here's my thing: they got to get a leadoff hitter to hit in front of Devers. Because for Devers being the 2 spot, I think Verdugo is the best in-house option to lead off spot, but I don't think you can go Verdugo Devers 1-2.
You can't. You don't think so?
There's not enough plate discipline on either one of them.
That lefty. There's no lefty's bad 1-2. They don't. Neither of them draw a lot of walks.
Mark my words right now. Timestamp it. Do whatever you want. Verdugo will be a AL batting champ at some point.
That wouldn't surprise me. He's obviously going to stay on it all year. My only worry is I think Luis Arraez is going to just dominate the batting title scene for the next 10 years.
I think Kiki's your number one guy.
No,
he's hitting 240.
I think he works perfectly in a 7 spot, right? 7 spot.
2021 Kike. As much as I like the kid, I think it was a little bit of a fluke. He had 20 home runs, I think 60 RBIs, and I don't think he's that guy. I think he's a 10 to 15 home run guy max. I think he's a 40 to 45 RBI guy. He's a good 8 guy, maybe 9.
I'd say 7.
He's 7, 8, 9. You're talking semantics at this point. We're not talking somebody that's going to really contribute to the RBI production. I think next year the Red Sox need to bring in some help with the lineup. JD's gone. And Stats and I have talked about this offline a couple times. JD's been gone for a hot minute. He's at 11 home runs, maybe 11 home runs.
It's not good. It's not looking good.
Friggin' Casas has got 4 home runs and 2 singles or something insane like that. You're going to have power next year with the Sox. You will have power. I think the Sox need to bring in a true DH. I think the Sox need a true number 1. It's not Sale because he's too fixated on Uber Eats. Uvalde is
Brandon
going to be
Nimmo.
pitching
No,
for
Nimmo's
Texas.
a lefty. Nimmo's a lefty.
Uvalde's going to be pitching for Texas next year because of Plawecki.
I think that's a perfect fit for him.
Stats. This is your opportunity to go Cody Bellinger. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, no. Hear me out. As a 1 year, why not? If you can recapture anything of Cody Bellinger's past, you have a 1 year guy who is a legitimate cog in that lineup. I don't think it'll happen, but I think the Dodgers non-tender him, right? Because his arbitration is going to be $18 million. Or if I think the Dodgers, he'll be a legitimate non-tender candidate. And if you're the Red Sox, why not just trade for him? You're barely going to have to give up anything.
I know you're in Florida, home of crystal meth. Stop smoking crystal meth. Cody Bellinger is not coming to the Red Sox, sir. He's not coming in on 1 year. He's not coming in on. He
can enjoy David Ortiz's weed.
I'm not.
He's not coming to the Red Sox, dude.
I like Reese's Pieces. Don't get me wrong, and but I think we need to upgrade a catcher. Yeah, I think that's who you're going to get though. I think that's your right-handed bat. Zunino. What about Zunino?
I've said Zunino, but I think here's my problem: is I think you have to have Connor Wong in your plans next year, and you have to have Reese McGuire in your plans. So unless you want to keep 3 catchers, which you could, because I do think Connor Wong could occasionally play second base, but you're kind of getting that spot where it's kind of weird to carry 3 catchers. And also too, I am looking. They want a leadoff hitter. Troy Turner's your best option in free agency. That's not named Brandon Nimmo because Nimmo's a lefty. But
Trey Turner's not coming to the Sox, dude.
If you get Trey Turner, that means no Bogarts.
He's not coming to the Sox.
If they lose Bogarts, it wouldn't actually surprise me. I've actually heard a couple people throw out Trey Turner. So the Red Sox, if Bogarts leaves, and now here's the thing on that: if Bogarts leaves and they go out and sign Trey Turner, there's I would not be upset at that at all. I would not complain. Would it suck to see Bogarts go? Yes. But you can't complain about Trey Turner, and he would be the leadoff hitter that you need. Now, you do lose Bogarts in that, 3-4 spot. But, if you go Trey Turner, then Devers, then Trevor Story, then Cassis, then, another righty, you get a righty bat, and then Verdugo in the 6th spot.
The Fenway Sports Group learned really hard when they lost John Lester to the Cubs back in 2016, if I remember correctly.
20.
They're not. Was it 14?
Yeah, it's 14.
Okay, so
because the offseason after they tried to sign Lester, they put in a bum offer for him. He went to the Cubs, and then they ended up signing.
It was a horrible shit offer to John Lester. He was a smack in the face. They traded him,
and then they went and tried to get him back,
and they smacked him in the face. And he went to the Cubs.
Yeah, then they signed Pablo and Hanley.
To the tune. Hey, I liked Hanley. I could not stand.
Oh no,
Pablo.
I love Hanley.
But I will. Hanley Ramirez. He's in my office here. Autograph. Well done. Loved Hanley. He hit some bombs. Pablo Sandoval can go F himself. But I will say this: the Red Sox are not going to let Xander Bogaerts walk to another team this year. They will do it at the detriment of losing Devers.
Here's the question though. Here's my question: if someone gives Bogaerts like a massive deal, let's say it's the Phillies and Nebraska, because Nebraska loves throwing money at guys. Hypothetically, because if Bogaerts goes anywhere, I'm kind of starting to believe the Philadelphia hype for the one reason: Dombrowski will throw out an offer so good that the Red Sox won't want to match it because it'll be such a big dollar amount.
I 100% agree. I'd like to know what Mr. Brown thinks about this, but Diamond Dave, I've seen multiple times over the last several weeks. The Phillies are going after Bogaerts. No. If they offer him 10 years and $300 billion or something asinine, you've got to take it. As a business person, you have to take it. What do you think, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You have to take it, especially in this economy. You'd be silly not to. But I do believe that there is part of Bogaerts that there is that belief where there are players still that will stay with the team because they are rooted with that team. And I think Bogaerts is one of those guys. He's been with them since day one. Yeah, he's been up with the Red Sox since I think 2013 was when he first came up.
Before he was a 16-year-old prospect.
If anybody, if these free agents are going to take a little bit of a rebate, especially if they go hard after Devers, which I think they're getting a little bit of a discount now because he's not played to his potential this year, whether he's injured or not. But I think if you get Devers first, I think you get Bogaerts at a little bit of a discount. Not a great discount, but I think you get one, you're going to get the other.
Yeah.
But my only pause is, and I said this over and over on this show, is you don't want to lock him up for more than 4 years, I don't think. I don't think he's going to take less than 5.
I think 6 is fair.
I think it's fair, but then you have to start looking at some of these other prospects coming up, and we talked about that too.
But you can move positions.
Other positions, yeah.
You can move positions.
But Bogaerts didn't. They tried that with Bogaerts, pushing him to third base.
Yeah,
and
but it wasn't It wasn't
third base.
But it wasn't permanent, though. I think that's the thing. They knew it wasn't permanent.
They tried. What you're saying is, we'll put you in a different position because we have somebody at shortstop who could play that.
But there's a difference between. At the time, though, Bogaerts still wasn't the most polished defensive player. Like, you're looking at a guy like Marcelo Meyer. Like, he's solid defensively. Like, he's good defensively. Also, too, you have a DH spot. I don't think the Red Sox are going to go out and get a legitimate DH. Marcelo Meyer comes up. Maybe you move Bogaerts to third and Devers to DH. Or maybe you just put Devers at the DH spot. Or, like, you figure it out, right?
But you're under the impression that Meyer is going to be a true MLB player. We don't know yet.
But I'm saying hypothetically, though, it looks that way right now. It looks like he will eventually get there. But I think, though, at the end of the day, like when it comes to a Bogaerts offer, I don't think like you said, Mr. Brown, I don't think they have to. Red Sox aren't going to have to match the Phillies offer. I think Bogaerts will take a bit of a discount to go to the Red Sox. But if the Phillies offer him 10 years, $300 million, the Red Sox can't offer him 6 years, $150 million. They're going to have to offer him like 8 years, $240.
I think they give him a very similar deal to what they offered Trevor Story. 6 and 140, something
more
like
though. That. It'll be like I think honestly, if you're giving him 6 years, it'll have to be 150 at least. And
he'll take it.
Dombrowski. Like I said, if they offer 6/150 and Dombrowski goes 10/300, if you're Bogaerts, you're taking the Phillies deal, right? I think that's fair. But
you kind of have to. You kind of have to at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. If someone like the Phillies goes out and gives Bogaerts an outrageous offer and he takes that and the Red Sox pivot and get a Trey Turner or even a Dansby Swanson, let's say, and it's a cheaper price than what it was for Bogaerts, what Bogaerts would have cost, I think you say that's not a win for the Red Sox, but it's definitely not a loss.
I think the Red Sox go all in on Bogarts. I really do. I think they're going to go all in because of the backlash. I think the Red Sox lose Devers after 2023. Someone is going to offer him some insane amount of money. He is a decent defender at third, but he's not a great defender at third. And if we've seen him tail off this last part of 2022, he's a lot of swing and miss right now.
But you have the DH spot available. I think that's the difference with Devers.
And the big thing with the Red Sox that we're forgetting is that there's only a handful of teams that can spend over that $200 million plateau. You got the Phillies. You got the Yankees. What's that? Yeah, okay. You got the Dodgers. Maybe you throw the Mets. Yeah, I was say the Mets.
The Rangers.
Yeah.
They're spending money now.
How many of those teams are going to have the payroll to push out for Devers and Bogarts?
Okay,
Dodgers, yeah, they'll say yeah because they've got. It feels like they feel like they're the early 2000 Yankees.
Yeah,
we'll just spend. We don't care how much we spend. We're going to spend.
But they do have those prospects behind those guys too, which is why it makes it so easy for them to spend because they know, well, if some 300 million guy comes here and falls face first into the dirt, we have another kid coming right up that can replace him. And I think that it gives them the security to say, we're willing to take the risk on this deal because we know if it doesn't work out, we have a plan B. And here, I think the Red Sox right now, they have no clear plan B for Devers. So they got to get him locked up. And that's a little bit different than the thinking, but the thinking is yes, they could move someone else to third, or they could trust one of these young guys. But
I'm with you. I think maybe Meyer can play third base. I think he's such a fantastic athlete, a 5-tool player that if anybody, he could take on that third base position.
I think if you needed to throw him in the outfield for a year, I think he could do it. He's athletic enough. It wouldn't be preferred. Don't get me wrong, it would not be preferred. But if you needed to throw him in the outfield for a year and you gave him like a year in the minors as well to learn it, I think you could throw him out there for a year. Also, too, remember the DH spot. I think under Chaim Bloom, they're not going to go for like a legitimate like DH who has to play DH all the time. They're not going to go for a JD Martinez, a Nelson Cruz, the guy who cannot play anywhere else on the field, who can't play on the field. They might next year. Eric Hosmer might be the DH. Well, you can put Hosmer at first. You can.
Yeah, but back to my point is that, like you said, we got Aaron Judge, Kershaw, Trey Turner, Danby Swanson. Obviously, we're talking about Bogarts and Devers. There's a big list of guys who are hitting the free agency market in the next couple of years, and you only have those 5 big teams. Mr. Taylor, is there an earthquake?
Sorry.
All right, just checking.
I dropped my iPad.
Just checking. We want to make sure you're okay. There's only a small handful of teams, and the Mets are not that team. The Yankees are not the team they used to be. They're a little bit more fiscally conservative than they were when, there was a certain somebody on top of that running that organization, Mr. Steinbrenner. They're not the same organization. They're going to go heavy after Judge. So it just leaves you with the Phillies and the Dodgers.
The Rangers for like a Devers.
Yeah, the Dodgers.
But they're going to go heavy in on pitching.
Yeah, they're going to have you and I guarantee the Phillies and the Dodgers are going to be going back and forth on Clayton Kershaw or Trey Turner.
The Rangers and Dodgers on Kershaw.
Because you got Trey Turner and you got Bogarts.
If I can interject real quick.
They're both the same age.
I will say this. You guys have great points. There is only maybe 3 teams that are going to go after Devers for the kind of money that Boris is going to want. And he's going to re-sign with the Red Sox.
Devers isn't a Boris guy.
Price point. He's not a Boris guy?
I'm pretty sure
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bogarts is.
But so is Carlos Correa.
And Boris lately has shot himself in the foot over the last few years, pushing his guys out almost until February and not getting the contracts that he thought he was going to get. He's played this game.
That's also a player thing, though, because if the player wants to sign, the player will sign. Like, for example, Bogarts in, I think it was 2019. Bogarts told Boris, I know I can get more money. I'm fine. I just want to sign and be here. And Boris
That's my point. I think Bogarts is that guy who's going to want to stay here.
Oh yeah, I think he will. And it just comes down to that: are the Phillies or a mystery team we don't know of? Are they just going to throw a massive offer on the table that he can't turn down, and it doesn't make sense to get close to that offer for the Red Sox?
We know Bogey wants to stay. That's a definitive. It's just a matter if Heimblum, BOH, and Alfaro, not Alfaro. What is the other GM? There's two other GMs, assistant GMs.
Again,
Eddie Alfaro. Eddie Alfaro. If they all get together in the analytics and the statistics as they come together, they're going to lowball. That's just what they do. That's what they do. The
I don't think they lowball. I think they have a cutoff point that they don't want that. They say this is our cutoff point. If we have to pay more than this guy, we're not going to pay it. I agree with it, and I think that's fair. My example for this is they wanted to target Jurickson Profar after 2020, right? The Padres are offering 3 years, $21 million. They offered 2 years, $14 million. They didn't want to go any more money or any more years. They're maxed out at 2 for 14. Profar goes to the Padres. They turn around, give the same deal to Kike Hernandez. He accepts.
The shitty part is I get the business side of it. I really truly do. I mean, I have Nesson down here where I'm at, so I watch all of the Red Sox broadcasts, and I watch their transactions. I read about it and what have you. I get it, and it sucks. No. I want to give Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers
lifetime
5 years, $500 million. I mean, an insane amount of money. So they're still there. I'm still brokenhearted over Egon being traded to the Dodgers with Josh Beckett. Egon was my player. He had a swing built for Fenway, and it just didn't work out. So I don't get attached to players anymore. And I'll tell you what we don't get attached to is the 2-1 deficit we're experiencing right now in New York.
Yeah. One hit for the Red Sox.
Snyder dropped the ball in the rain.
Stinking hit.
Snyder dropped the fly ball.
It's raining, so maybe we'll have a 2016 moment where the rain gets so heavy they stop and the Red Sox come back and score 9 runs.
Snyder just whiffed on a fly ball, so that's great.
Yeah.
But I really think the Red Sox go all in on Bogaerts. I think they're going to go half-ass on Devers because they've got Mayer coming up. They've got Benelis at third, who's a power hitter.
I don't know if he's going to stick at third.
But he's a third baseman he's at I think Salem now, if I'm not mistaken.
He's been playing third and first. He's been taking practice ground balls at first. I think isn't he
a 20-30 home run guy? If that translates,
yeah, we're hoping that Cassis works out, but we don't know yet.
I would lean towards Cassis. Here's the thing. I think Cassis will pan out. Pan out doesn't mean he's going to be an all-star first baseman. I think pan out means he's the guy that can be a part of your team who can play every single day and bring something to your team. Here's the perfect example of panning out, right? Jackie Bradley Jr. Perfect example of panning out. Didn't reach his ceiling, but he was a guy who, at his peak, you could play every day, and he helped you win a World Series. To me, that's panning out.
JBJ was an exceptional player when he was hot. Tristan Casas is a 240 hitter, 25 bombs, 65 to 80 RBIs.
I think it'll be more than that.
Gold glove winning first baseman.
I think it'll be more than that.
We still have Homer. Help me out.
Hosmer.
For the next couple of years.
I want to see.
They're both lefties, unfortunately.
I think they trade Hosmer. I'm starting to think they trade Hosmer.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
They don't really need him. And here's the thing. You can actually get something for Hosmer because guess what? No other team's going to have to actually pay him. So there's not that massive contract tied to him.
Sir, do you remember the 2015 World Series? Hosmer, the backpack motion, get on my back, I'm going to carry you. He's a stud.
It was the bullpen.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you? I'm driving to Florida right now, and I'm going to smack you with a number 35 jersey.
That's fine. That's fine. Take me back to Texas with you, so I can get away from the hurricane.
I'm gonna put you in the Toyota Camry and drive back. Eric
we're
is
talking
a professional hitter.
We're talking about Devers. We're talking about Bogarts. We're talking about all these guys. And there's another guy sitting in the minor leagues whose prospect potential to come up in the next year or two is Nick York.
So I think York's further away than Meyer right now because he's got some injury problems.
His ETA is 2023.
That's wrong.
It's 2024. It's 2024.
I've watched Nick York play in the minors. He's not making it to the MLB.
No, he's been injured all this year. You can't take it. You can't look at this year because he's been injured all year.
He is not going to make it to the MLB. He is I think he's a bust. He reminds me of Ryan LaVarnway. You remember the catcher, Ryan LaVarnway?
Yes, I remember Ryan LaVarnway.
And be the heir apparent to
I hit 30
Doug
home runs
Mirabelli.
with him in MLB The Show. No, in MLB 2K 11.
Yeah, exactly. He's got video game stuff, but not real life stuff.
Nick
York is not
you can't
a
look
second
at York
baseman
this year though because he's been injured all year. He's been injuries on and off. He's been playing through injuries, but it's just this year's just been kind of a crappy year.
Well, no, he's not a second baseman, but like Stats has said over and over, he could be an outfielder.
No, I don't think Nick York can. I think Nick York second base is where you have to put him. You have to.
Or
he's not
going
to be good.
Do you throw him in with Hosmer for?
No, you trade Hosmer for like a bullpen piece.
Nick York is a trade piece at best.
No,
you have got. Hang on.
I will not. No, I won't take. Nope. No, I will not take this. Nick York.
You have got Trevor Story.
Nick York is the fourth best prospect in the Red Sox system. He's the fourth best prospect in the system. And he will be third once Cassis graduates from prospect status, and Bay actually will be second once Cassis and Bayo graduate.
Where are you going to put him?
Second,
you got Trevor Story for 5 more years.
Second or the DH spot. Hello, DH spot's waving wide open. I'm available. JD Martinez is gone. That's a perfect spot for Nick York.
York is not a DH. He's not a DH, dude.
Why not?
He's not going to make it to the MLB level for the Red Sox. He's a trade piece.
I guarantee you he will.
No,
I can't guarantee he's going to be an all-star player. He will make it to the big leagues.
If Hosmer doesn't go anywhere, I think you got Hosmer and Cassis. We're just going to flip-flop in the DH spot next year.
I think they trade Hosmer. I'm starting to think they trade Hosmer because they want a guy in the DH spot who they could pretty much where they can rotate. So, for example, so let's say it's a guy who can play short and second, right? Or maybe it's a guy who can play multiple outfield spots, or a guy like Cody Bellinger who can play first and the outfield spots. Now you can rotate guys through that DH spot like there's no problem.
Stats, I didn't believe this before, but I really think you're on Florida crystal meth. Nick York will never play at the MLB level for the Red Sox. Hosmer, I agree, will be traded, but York is not a power hitter.
He doesn't need to be a power hitter.
They don't need to all be power hitters.
You don't. What happens when you get all power hitters? Look at the Yankees. When Aaron Judge doesn't do anything, they suck. The Yankees have state.
Okay, so you have Fitzgerald down at Worcester right now. What are you going to do with
Fitzgerald's not going to do anything. He's not even going to be on the 40-man next year. He's not on the 40-man this year.
He had 400 at spring training last year.
And he's
the Red Sox didn't get a call
this year.
He's got pop.
He's hitting 220. 220 is not pop.
He's got trick.
The only good thing he has is that he can literally play anywhere, and you can go get anyone who can go play anywhere that can actually hit at the big league level a little bit.
And to your point, Mr. Taylor, I think that Fitzgerald has minor league pop, just like York.
I agree. I think York.
Some guys just never can get beyond the minor leagues.
Nick York,
which is far better than I. I've never hit any home runs at any level, but I disagree with Stats Master.
I don't even think Fitzgerald has minor league pop.
I think he's on Florida crystal meth. Nick
I don't even
York
think Fitzgerald
will never play.
I don't even think Ryan Fitzgerald has minor league pop.
Oh, sir, how dare you? How dare you? I think
Ryan Fitzgerald isn't going to be on the 40-man. I would not be surprised if Ryan Fitzgerald isn't even in the Red Sox system next year.
I didn't think I was going to Stats Masterson a heart attack, but
all right, I got to wrap up here soon. My question going into this is Alex Cora, and I know they
don't even bring it up because he's not going to. He's staying. He's saying he will be here long term.
How is he defined his ability to coach his team?
His job is not to coach the team. That's not his job.
Guys, if I may stop you both. I think discussion about Alex Cora is a separate hour-long podcast altogether.
Yeah.
Here's my thing on Alex Cora, like really quickly. His job's not to coach the team. His job's to manage the team, quote unquote manage the team, but you can't and I know everyone brings up managing the bullpen. How are you supposed to manage a bullpen that doesn't have any good middle relief? Like, if fifth inning comes in, your starter comes out the game, your best option's Ryan Brazier.
All right, you just said it. He's the manager. He manages the coaches. The coaches coach the team.
He doesn't really manage the coaches. He manages the players.
Who oversees the coaches then?
What? The bench? The bench coach normally is like the link from the manager to the players. The manager doesn't oversee the coaches. Boss, I think the front office oversees the coaches.
The boss is Cora.
Guys, he's the boss of the dog. Hours and hours. We can go on for hours and hours.
You also shouldn't have to coach a big league team though. Okay, here's the thing: you shouldn't have to coach an outfielder catch a routine pop fly.
No, that's what you have coaches for.
No. You shouldn't have to teach them at all when they hit the big league level. The coaches should be like a hitting coach. You shouldn't have to teach a guy to hit and not strike out 40% of the time in the big leagues. The hitting coach is, something's a little bit off in your swing. You were doing this before. Maybe now you're opening up a little bit too much. Let's get back to what you're doing before. That's the hitting coach's job. The hitting coach isn't teaching a guy how to hit. The hitting coach isn't teaching a guy, how to approach an at bat. That's not what they're there for. They're there to they're there to kind of keep guys on the right track and try and get the most out of their ability.
All right, I want to end this on a positive note. If I could change one thing in baseball starting next year, if, for instance, Devers and Bogarts made the last 2 outs of the inning, Devers and Bogarts are your first base coach and your third base coach. I want to bring the minor league base coaches back to baseball and get rid of these old timers. I think it'd be fun to have baseball players as your baseball coach, as your first and third base coaches.
All right, so guys, if I may, stats, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Let's see. Oh, I didn't say who I want the Red Sox to sign in free agency. Pitcher and hitter. Pitcher, I want Edwin Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
Hitter, I just want a shortstop. But I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is.
Mr. Brown,
I'd prefer Bogarts, but I don't care.
Mr. Brown, your final thoughts.
I want to see the Red Sox give JD Martinez his due for the time and all the things that he's given to this team over the last few years. We won a championship because of him. He's been a fantastic bat. Unfortunately, since COVID, his bat has diminished. His swing is diminished. But he's been a fantastic role model for this team. And I'd like to see the fans and the Red Sox
role model on showing Bobby Dahlbeck how to strike out. I agree with what you're saying.
I can't even get in my. All right,
I agree. I do agree with what you're saying though. Last thing though, Brian Bayo, can we sign him to a long-term extension this offseason?
Agreed.
10-year deal. 12-year deal.
I don't think. I think maybe 7.
No, 10 years because you're buying out his 6 years of arbitration plus 4 free agency, and then he'll still be like 32 when he hits free agency.
I'll give you 10 for Bayo based on his stuff. I'll give you 10 for Bayo based on his stuff. But if final thoughts for me, if we can wrap this up, guys, I will say this. I think 2023 is going to be a much better year than 2022. I want to thank Stats Masterson. I want to thank Downtown Joe Brown. I want to thank Mr. Jeremy, the overweight underdog, for his presence tonight. I would like to thank me and my big forehead for coming in tonight.
Like to thank
everybody that's watching, Reese Quick Hands for his quick hands. If everybody that's watching this, please like, share, follow, tag. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter, Spotify. Please share. Let's grow this channel. Let's have some fun with this. Leave us a description or leave us some comments in the description. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want us to say. let's have some fun with this and let's grow this channel. For everybody watching tonight on
Let's
Off
grow
the
this
Monsters, thank you
community.
so much.
Let's use the word. Let's grow this community.
Let's grow this community. For Stats Masterson, Mr. Downtown Joe Brown, Mr. Jeremy, the overweight underdog, Robert Taylor. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode.